a look at the new Nexus 7 tablet, which was announced by Google, and unfortunately it was pretty much leaked out before it actually was announced, like many tech announcements are these days, but unfortunately that can't be helped. But the announcement itself was a big deal. I put on the blog a video of the whole announcement. I highly suggest you watch it because it was a massive spectacle. There was skydivers, for God's sake. It was pretty awesome, and people were freaking out about the Nexus 7 because it is something that I've been looking forward to for a while now, which is a stock Android tablet, which is something that we haven't really had before. I guess the Zoom might have been the closest thing to that, maybe the transformer pads. But the Nexus 7, we'll have a look at it now. It is a gorgeous 7-inch tablet. It's notably, we'll have a look at the design in a second, but looking at the size of the device, the screen does look a little bit small because it's got a big bezel, but I'll go into that in a second. But really great device. We'll have a look at the gallery here, and you can see on the front page, I think one of the things that strikes me about this straight away is that it looks like a more friendly Android experience. Android, I think, has been probably a bit noted to be maybe, oh, it's a geeky operating system, you have to be quite techie to understand it, but I think with this they've made a lot of changes to make it look more colourful, more bright, more inviting, so the general consumer can go in and be like, hey, this looks great, it looks really easy, but maybe not even realising it's running Android. But that just goes to show how far Android's come in kind of broadening their wider audience attraction. So on the front page here, the default sort of tiles, I guess you would call them, or widgets, are going to be very store orientated, because of course this is a consumption device for reading, watching videos, looking at photos, browsing the web, and playing a bit of games and things like that. So the widgets that they have here on show are very centric towards the Play Store. So here you've got the library, which will be things like your books, your movies, your TV shows and magazines. But unfortunately, this is all great, but we haven't got some of these things in the UK yet. I don't think we've got the magazines yet. We do have the movies, but not the TV shows, and we don't have Google Music yet. And I don't know when that's going to happen. I really am looking forward to Google Music because I want to get off of iTunes, because I sync my Galaxy S2 now with my Mac, and I have to use some programs to act as an intermediary between iTunes and my phone, and it's quite awkward. So if I can just dump iTunes altogether and put everything in Google Music, I'll be very happy. But getting over there, let's get back to the tablet. So looking at the design here, as I said before, with the bezel, Matthias Duarte in an interview on The Verge, thanks again The Verge, he was talking about how they designed the tablet, and that's really clever actually. And being in a sort of design and art background myself, I find this very cool. They designed it in a certain way. So as we're looking at the tablet here, and I've got it pulled up next to me, we've got quite a fairly big bezel, which is something that I think pretty much the only thing people have criticised about it, because people are finding it quite hard to criticise this at the moment. We've got a smaller border on the sides and bigger border on the top and bottom. Now, Matthias Duarte, again in the interview, said that this was designed on purpose, not just because that's how the device fits together, but on purpose because if you hold it in a portrait manner, the thinner bezels on the side mean that because it's in a portrait manner, you don't need to hold it so hard because it's not weighted so much off your hand, so you don't need a bigger bezel to kind of grip it firmly. But if you turn it to landscape mode, because if you're holding it in one hand, there's going to be a lot of weight hanging off the side because it's in a longer orientation. You're going to need to hold it more firmly, therefore you need a bigger bezel. So I think this is really great design choices here, and they also said that because of the way that Android is designed with the persistent black bar at the bottom which contains the on-screen buttons, it means that the bar at the top and the bar at the bottom, the one at the bottom is actually slightly bigger, and this relates to something like if you're hanging a poster in a professional gallery, you always have a bigger bezel at the bottom than you do at the top. That's just because it's aesthetically pleasing to humans, and that's how we come to accept it. You may not notice it, but trust me, that's how they do it. So again, we'll look at some of the other images here of the device. The back has been widely praised for having a really great back feeling texture. Matthias Duarte said it was designed to feel like Steve McQueen's leather driving gloves. A lot of people have said it is like leather with this little indented dot pattern on the back, almost like studded leather, but it is just a plastic rubber material, but it's just a very high quality material. We can see on the back we've got the top button, which is the power button. We've got volume rocker on the side, big Nexus letters on the back, and I really love the font they're using as well. Down at the bottom, of course, we've got the Asus branding. It's an Asus tablet, and I think they're going to do very well off of this. and then that strip along the bottom is a speaker outlet, and then on the very bottom we've got a micro USB and a headphone jack as well. Looking again at the side profile here, so I think the bezel issue is not too big a deal for me, because if I'm holding it, the bezel is just going to fade away into my fingers anyway. It doesn't bother me, and I'm going to be concentrating on that beautiful display. Now, going on to the display, pardon me, it's a 7-inch 1880 by 800 HD display, which is higher resolution than some 10-inch Android tablets, so it's really high density display. Scratch resistant Corning Gorilla Glass, which is great. 1.2 megapixel front facing camera for video chats and things like that. There's no back camera. Now, I personally don't care about this because I am one of these people that thinks if you're taking a picture using a tablet, you're an idiot. You've probably got a smartphone, why don't you use that instead of holding up this giant thing in front of your face that looks like a piece of A4 paper and taking a photo, which is probably going to be worse quality than your phone anyway. Stop doing that. So I don't think it's a bad thing they left out the camera on the back, because I wouldn't use it anyway because I've got my phone. It's got NFC, which is going to be used for the Nexus Q, which we'll get onto in a second. Volume control, speaker, software keys, but in terms of the insides of this thing, it's really powerful. It's got a Tegra 3 processor running at, I can't remember the speed, something like 1.3 gigahertz or 1.4. It's got 8 or 16 gigs of RAM. I'd probably get the 16 because there's no expandable storage. Gigabyte of RAM. It weighs only 340 grams, which is quite light. It's about the weight of a paperback book, so it's not very heavy at all. And again, if you're holding it in one hand, eating a sandwich in the other, reading, it's great. It's perfect. You're reading a book, you're doing something else, it's excellent. 4.1 Jelly Bean, of course, is standard, and because it's a Nexus product, we know that it's going to be upgraded automatically to the next version when it comes available, with no fuss from the carriers, going back to why I said I like Nexus products better. And loads of other features, but I think overall there's not really much to say apart from that it's great. It's what Google should have been doing a long time ago, but I think now that they've brought out Jelly Bean, Android's in a great place now to bring out such a tablet of products to go along with the Nexus phones, and I think it's going to do very well, especially at the price point that it's at. I believe it's $159 in the UK, and for the 8GB and the 16GB is $199, so really great price point, especially when you compare it to the iPad. And I think that a lot of people are going to go into Cafe and Warehouse, for example, and say, what is this 7-inch tablet? It looks great, it's cheap, it does what I want, I'll get it. And most people won't get an iPad, I don't believe. So yeah, that's the Nexus 7. Again, brilliant, no problems with it whatsoever. I think me and my brother Michael from Copper vs Glass, again, I think we might be both getting one, and this just goes to show how much Google has made such improvements, because my brother is a pretty big iOS fan. He's got an iPhone, he loves it to pieces, but he's seen this and he's like, man, I want to jump onto Android and perhaps get this, so we'll have a look and see. So this is the Nexus 7, let's go and have a look at what the Nexus Q has to offer.